Welcome back to another episode of Realty Resilience. I'm your host, Dave Nations, and super excited for another great episode. And we've got a phenomenal guest today, John Pace out of Richmond, Virginia. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you. Super excited for you to share with all of our guests your story and what you're up to in real estate. If you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and jump in and give us a little background about how you even got started into real estate, maybe what you were doing beforehand.
Yeah, okay, that's a loaded question if you want to go down that path. Yeah, so I've been in real estate for 20 years now, 16 of them with Keller Williams, and I've got a team of 13. We have six agents, five administrative, including one full-time VA, and we have two part-time runners who are sisters who are the godsend of our business. They handle all the back end stuff. Um, we are 85% referral based and got into this by buying duplexes. Let's see, I got a master's degree in exercise physiology. My intention was to get my PhD, teach in college. I swam in college D1, so I wanted to coach and I wanted to teach. And I realized how little money you make after so many years of education that I never went for my PhD. And so I bopped around coaching, swimming, got into IT for a couple of years during Y2K. And while I was doing programming, which is the most lonely job on the planet I've ever done, I ended up buying a duplex. And then I bought a second duplex,
What
and that
led you
kind of
to
got the
even
juices
looking at
flowing.
real estate and deciding like, oh,
I
I,
was in, I was living in a duplex, and all my friends were buying homes, and I was like, well, I'm not making a ton of money yet, but if I bought something and someone else paid half, I bet it'd be a better deal for me long term. So I started just looking around and talked to a guy, a realtor I knew from high school who was in the same town in Richmond here. And he's like, yeah, I'll help you do that. He's like, I own five, six, seven of those right now. So he helped me figure that out. And we bought one. And then I bought another one 10 months later. And I was going to buy a third one, but I had met my wife at the time and she wanted to buy a house. So I blame it on Linda. It's all her fault. I don't have a third duplex from 2003. Um, but yeah, I still own those properties. They're almost paid off. And I was miserable trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was looking at going back to school for PT or opening up a business. I was doing triathlons at the time, Ironman and those kind of things. And a buddy of mine was like, hey, you could do a shoe company. I was like, whatever I need to do, I've got to get out of this job. And real estate came up and I was thinking about it. And my wife's like, okay, you got 6 months to figure this out. I'll bankroll you and me. By the way, we had just gotten married. We bought our third house and I quit my job.
you went all in.
There's a little pressure. So I sold one house in 6 months. And she's like, "You're going back to the old job?" And I was like, "I'm not going back to the old job because I
Wait,
can
wait,
feel
that's
the
what she
database."
said was you're going back to the old job because 6 months in you've got one deal, and she's like, nah, this ain't
And it
working.
was the very first month I sold a house and nothing for the next five.
Uh, okay.
So I was like, I could just feel it building. In month seven, I sold one. Month eight, I sold one. It was one, 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 then two, two, two. And by the next year, I sold 24, 20, yeah, 24 the next year. It was nuts. And it just took off from there.
So that first year, and it took 6, 7 months really to start kind of getting a little bit of rhythm. What were you doing to start building that foundation?
Yeah, so once again I was doing triathlons. So we have a really large community here in Richmond. The local triathlon club I think has 1,000 members in it now. Back in the day it was 700. And most triathletes don't know how to swim. They're either good runners or good cyclists. And I used to coach D1 athletes for swimming. So I went to them. I said, "Hey, I will do a free coaching once a month on a Sunday morning. Send to whoever you want, as long as I get access to your database." I said, sure, even trade. So I was able to market to all those people. And then I sponsored races and I would give away, remember the old little iPod minis? They
Yeah.
had no screen. You could load songs into it and it just did an iPod shuffle. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Uh-huh.
I would give one or two of those away. And I would walk the registration tables and just have a clipboard and said, hey, give me your name, phone number, email, and address, and I'll go ahead and register you in. And I would do five, six, seven of those a year, and it cost me a couple $100 to do it each time.
How many people would you get each time?
sign up, I would get a couple hundred.
So he basically dollar a lead.
More or less, yeah. But half of them were easily not from Richmond. They're in DC, they're in Charlotte, they're somewhere else, Raleigh, wherever it might be. That's fine. They're
Referrals,
still in
right?
my
You could
database
generate
today.
referrals.
Yeah. So it was for me at the time, I wanted just to talk to people and I didn't want to be a salesperson. I remember being very clear I didn't want to be a salesperson. So I would just go talk to as many people as I could, and eventually real estate would come up into a conversation and it took off. The the things I did not do, if I did an open house, I had no systems. I wasn't picking up opportunities from sign calls or open houses or those kinds of things. So it was very organic was what I was doing, which was also very, very slow because it had to build up over time.
What about database from just people you knew, your SOI, friends, family, that kind of stuff? Did you have any of that? It sounds like you just jumped right into this event idea and started building
Yeah, I
off
went to
it.
college here in Richmond at University of Richmond. So everyone that stayed in town was in my database, which was a spreadsheet. Being a programmer, I just use spreadsheets for everything.
Yeah.
So I just loaded everyone in a spreadsheet and I created a newsletter because in 2005, newsletters really were not a thing yet. The online stuff was barely up and running. And I think our MLS started going digital in 2003. Prior to that, it was the real estate book. So all I did was put them in and I just drip on them. I would never call, just drip. And I
Really?
got
So
to
you never even
27
picked up
homes
the
a year.
phone and called all these people,
No, that scared the crap out of me. That was terrifying.
but they would still call you.
Eventually, yeah, they'd reach out. And,
Okay.
and at that time, I was, just newly married, still acting like I'm single, so I'm out and about all the time, no kids, so I was able to just be myself and go out and bar hop with friends or what would be, and just do those things, and that was enough for my organic ceiling of 27 homes a year. I did that 3 years in a row, and that's what I did.
And was that you solo all 3 years doing 27 on your own, just rinse and repeat, basically?
Yeah, and I really wanted to bring an assistant on, and I did. In the company I was with, here's the stellar training I got from this company. The VP of the company came in my office, sat down, and said, "I hear you're looking to hire." And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, just talk to some people, see who's a good fit, and then bring them on, and just tell them what you want them to do." That was literally my training. So I talked to one person, and I thought she was nice, and I brought her on, and she didn't do much. Didn't, there was not much there. I didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid of it. I didn't know how to handle it. So that first hire, during that hire, the Great Recession kicked in late '08, and my market shut down. I didn't sell a house for 4 months straight, nothing. And one day she came in and said, "I don't think I have a job much longer, do I?" And I said, "It's not looking like it." And so she left that day, and that was it.
So how
I didn't
long
hire
does she
again for a few
last?
years. So that's a great question. I'm probably going to say 6 months. No training, no onboarding, just sit down here and do this or that. I don't even remember what she was doing.
Was it helpful? If you remember that far back, I don't know.
I don't remember if it was or not. I think it might have been more stressful than it was helpful.
Because then you're probably trying to figure out how do I get out of this because I don't know that this is good and don't know what to do. That's what it sounds like.
Correct. And of course, this whole hire was my fault. The lack of training was my fault. The lack of guidance was my fault.
Well, they usually
So
are our faults, right? Like they didn't hire them onto our team themselves, right? We found them and we said, yeah, sure, let's do this. And then it's all comes back to that, what you just said, which is great. The lack of systems, training, accountability, anything, And so what'd you learn from that? And what'd you do differently the next time around?
yeah, so learn from it. I don't know if I learned anything at the time. I'll be honest with you. I was still just trying to keep my head above water. I went from 27 homes to 18 homes the next year. So a massive pay cut in this recession. And during that time, I switched to Keller Williams, and I went from a traditional brokerage split to Keller Williams cap model. Saved me 40 grand a year, and I
Well, yeah,
went out and
now
immediately hired an
in
assistant.
production, that's a hell of a savings right there.
Yeah, and so I went immediately and hired my next assistant. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it a little differently. KW's got some trainings on that, whatever that looks like, and so I hired a person, and she was really sweet, and she did some things, and she did a decent job. And then one day she came in and said, "I've actually got an opportunity somewhere else that gives health insurance. So I'm leaving in 2 weeks." It's like, okay. So did it again, hired another person. and she stayed on for a bit and was very helpful and did some things. And once again, I'm not sure what those things were. I'm sure it was probably managing my database and doing the newsletter thing and handling my closing TC work. I was buyer heavy at the time, so I'm sure she also did, the few listings that I had, she'd get those things ready.
So for you, when you're hiring and you're bringing this person on and they're helping you, it's really just whatever you need at the time, as you're building this thing out and trying to figure it out and just having them do whatever. But there's not really any method to the madness, really no system being put in place or anything. It sounds like from at least these first few hires here as you're just sort of fuddling through. And I'm saying that not to make it look bad, but because I think it's important as agents, sometimes we don't want to hire, we should, but we're like, well, I got to get this set up. Well, I got to figure this out. Well, I got to do all this stuff, well, or you
Hmm.
could do what John did and bring them on, hire them, and continue to grow your business and figure it out together. Some work, some don't. And I'm not saying just go out and hire anybody, right? But what I am saying is like it's okay to hire and not have it all figured out, when you make that hire, because you're still figuring things out along the way, and it sounds like you probably still are today, right? So
It was seagull leadership. Basically, I came in and I crap all over you and walk out the door and do my stuff for the day. And so it was very like, this is what I need today. And it was less planning and systematic and that kind of thing. And that started to really change when I hired my first agent on the team. Um, I was at that point, I'd hired a coach, and the coach was like, okay, I need you making calls. He's like, I want you to call two people a day. I was like, I can't, what do I say? The fear
you're
of
talking
calling
about
and
for lead
sounding,
gen, you got to call at least two people.
yeah,
You're not talking about for the
two
recruiting
people a
side.
day.
You're just saying two people for business.
Correct. So eventually I got into the habit of doing it and just calling and trying to build relationships with people, not necessarily selling them, but hey, what do you need? I want to be the straw that stirs your drink. Do you need HVAC, roof, contractor? Thought about buying, selling, whatever it might be, and just build those relationships. In doing that, my pipeline got really deep, and I was way behind in what that service looked like. And I remember a guy named Mark Adams, who's still in Richmond at a different brokerage. Hi, Mark, if you're listening. I remember him coming and said, "John, just give it away. Just give all of those buyer leads away. Just someone it will do a great job." And he said that for a year. And eventually, I talked to a woman in office, and one person hired the one person, and she came through, and we went from 27 to 42 to 60 to 78 year
So
after
what is
year.
that over 3 years?
Yeah,
From
42,
27 to
60,
78.
78. Yep. But where I where I messed it up was all that was me. That was all my lead gen. And I think a conversation we probably should have today, Dave, is I thought my value was leads. And so I thought my job was to provide all the leads to this agent. And Jacqueline is amazing. She's still in business. She's in Mississippi now. Is that where she lives? Still selling houses down there, doing a great job. And at the time, I just told her that's what I was going to do for her. Hey, I didn't understand the value of a team, building a team to somebody. So I said, okay, I will go lead generate, and then you just go convert all these people. We hit a point at 78 homes. She came to me and said, um, I'm out of leads. You need to go hire an ISA to help me get more leads. And I was like, oh, I built this wrong because she's not doing the lead generation that I'm doing. It took me 3 years to realize that I had built a house of cards along the
Interesting.
way.
So you were now finally making calls because you'd gotten comfortable with it, started working your database and doing all that. So any leads that you got that then wanted to buy or sell, you were handing
Just
off
buy
to
went
just
to
on the
her.
buy
All
side.
the buyers went to her.
So any buyer lead that was like, yeah, I'm ready to go, when they went to her, and then you just worked the listings, correct?
I worked the listings, and my lifestyle changed dramatically. It was huge. I had more time to lead generate, more time at home, more time on weekends. And she loved the buyer side, and she crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
Now, she didn't make any calls though. She didn't do any events to generate any leads. Did she even have a database put
But
together
yeah,
that she
yeah, we,
worked?
we put stuff and we marketed to it, and she was very social at the time as well. And so she would go out and talk to people, and she'd bring some stuff in, but it was very organic versus systematic at the end of the
Out of the
day. And it
78 leads
hamstringed
or 78 closings, how many you think were from her versus you?
well from her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It was challenging, and I realized that I was stuck. I am the official lead generator of the team, And the only way we grow is I have to be on the phone more.
Leads being a value isn't a bad idea as long as you got a lot of them, right? In your case, and same with mine, because our businesses are built very similarly. Like if you're 85% referral based and you're not buying internet leads where you have something that's just flowing 24/7, for being leads as your only value can be tough because it's going to run out pretty quickly at some point unless you can continue to grow your database at a large clip, so then you got to do more of those events which that you were doing, and you just don't have enough time for all that. So leads can be a value. It just depends on what the source is, and so I see how it kind of came to a crash for you on that. So then
Yeah.
you get to that, but then what happens next? I mean, at that point she says you get more leads. What did you do? Say, well, no.
So, like I said, lead generate. And around the same time we're having this conversation, she gets married to a Navy pilot and gets transferred to Japan.
And she's
And
gone.
so while that was happening, I was like, okay, well, I've got two admin who are good. They're not great, but they're good. I'm losing my agent. I'll just let the whole damn thing go away and start over again. It's like I realized I had built it wrong, and I'm missing the talent that really attracts realtors to the business, which I believe is the hub. By having a good operations person, a good transaction coordinator, a good listing manager, most agents don't do a great job of bringing those people on. So if I can create a platform for them to be excel at it and then do what they're supposed to be doing, which is lead generate, go on appointments, write contracts, do all that kind of stuff, then I can create a world for them that's really hard for them to create themselves. I remember I was taking Bold, and for those who don't know what it is, it's an 8-week, 7-week training program through Keller Williams about sales, and it's really intense and it's excellent. And I remember talking to the coach leading it, and I was explaining to him my problem around lead generation, and that was just me. And he says, "Well, why are you giving away your best leads up front?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're giving the easiest stuff on the planet for that person to convert. It's already converted when they've called you." Because they're like, "John, hey, come list me. John, help come by." And you go, "And here, agent, take this person." Have them learn how to hunt first for themselves, and you reward them with your easy stuff. And that was a massive mindset shift for me to do that. And so I started the new team started building around that, where you come in with a 200-person database, we load in the system, you start calling, dialing, you do open houses, you do all the things that need to happen to generate business for yourself, and I will blow you up with the extra stuff I can give you from my database. And
You
that's
gotta
what we do
earn
today
the right.
all day long. It was a massive mindset shift. And that's what I was saying before, that there is value in leads. I'm not saying there's not, but the true value is showing an agent how they can build their business and how they can build it faster with us. And I can get them where they want to go. And I need them learning how to hunt and fish. I don't want to be them just sitting there with their hands open, waiting for something from me.
Absolutely. And I've heard this in the past. I've shared this story before. Went to a training that Ben Kenny was running. It was like 2017, so quite a while ago. And I remember walking in the room and he was talking about exactly what you did and giving your buyers away. Same thing I did at the time too, was, well, I don't want to work buyers. Here's all the leads I have. You take them, kind of thing, and just handing them off, and you're handing them great deals. And his comment was, well, you don't have a buyer's agent. You have a glorified showing partner. They're not doing half the job. They're not doing the lead gen portion of it. You're handing them people. They're going out and showing the houses, right? That's what your showing partner does, And I was like, wow, that's pretty true, And there's
Yeah.
that moment of like, oh man, okay. And so yeah, now it's all about you got to earn the right. Like absolutely, I'll give you the leads, these warm ones, but let's learn build the foundation, and learn how to do these things, and then move into that. The last thing, and it's funny because we all do it. I feel like in that early stage, like I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to take this on. I'll hand you all these people, but you're handing them your best people, and you're trusting that they're going to do well with it. And if they're brand new, and you're giving your best leads to somebody who's brand new, does that really sound like the best idea? You know, Probably not. Especially if you're 85% referral based. I need referrals to come back from that. And if the experience isn't very good, how are the referrals going to look, right?
All day long.
So yes, very fascinating, and I think so. This is great. Really diving into really around what the value is, because I think these are great stories for people to be able to hear and realize, like, yeah, don't just bring somebody on just because you don't want to do the role anymore. Bring somebody on because you want to train them, you want to make them a better agent, and pour into them and provide value to them, and then give them your good buyers, right? Hey, it's Dave. If you're a real estate agent doing well on the surface, but secretly drowning in to dos, unsure what to delegate, and wondering how the heck you're supposed to grow this thing, you're not alone. You're stuck between hiring an assistant or a buyer's agent. Your systems live in your head, and your calendar is running you instead of the other way around. That's why I built the Cornerstone course to help agents like you build a real estate business with clarity, confidence, and systems that actually work. And right now, it's just $100 during our summer sale, normally $397. Hit the link in the show notes and take the first real step toward growing on your terms.
Yeah, I remember I went to a class with Kristen Cole for agent expansion. This might have been 2016, 2017, because everyone back then was expansion this, expansion that. I was like, oh, I want to expand one day. Why not? So I went to Austin for that training. I had no right to be in the room. And for a day and a half, I listened to her talk and I walked out and I was like, this is not an expansion class. This is a build your hub so damn well that you have the opportunity to grow, but without a really solid foundation of administrative help that can blow up an agent's world, you've got nothing. And literally, then for the next 8 years, I was on a tear to build the strongest admin based business I could possibly build. And that's all I focused on. We'd find agents, but my job was to build the administrative hire of this team. And I think that's what really sets us apart now when we talk to somebody is, hey, you can come on, but you get to work. You can do this yourself and build it, but you can come on today. I got Jessica running the whole show. I got Teresa doing the closings. I got Alicia doing the listings. I got Kim doing the marketing for you. You're a level three agent the day you walk in the door with us. You got a full admin support team and you pay for it on your split. So if you don't sell a house, you don't have to worry about carrying cost of payroll. None of that, right? So it's a really safe way to grow your business and grow it real fast because they walk in the door and they've got this massive team supporting them. They invite their people to our client events, and their clients walk into a 350 person event, and they think that agent, their agent, Nick in this case, for example, who's 23, man, Nick's got a big business. Look at all these people here for Nick. They have no idea they're here for me or for Catherine or Seth, whoever else.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for someone to get in and grow it fast and not worry about focusing on the hiring and building of the business. You're focusing on the lead generation, the appointments, and contracts
Things that generate you money.
all day long. 100%.
Yeah. So then, now that you've got this stellar team, so you got five admin. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yep.
And they're all states, all five are stateside. I think you said you had a couple VAs in there too.
One VA, Philippines, other four are stateside. One stateside is in Tennessee, and the other three are in Richmond.
And how long have you had all of them together?
I mean, the average year, many years I've had them, or what?
Yeah, well, I'm just asking, like you said, for the next 8 years, then you set out to go out and build this. So I don't know if you started bringing them
Oh,
in
no, I've been
eight
hiring and
years
firing as
ago.
I go.
What's that?
I've been hiring and firing as I go. This has
Okay.
been uh, it. Jessica, who's our director of operations, I think she was the seventh or eighth hire for that role, and we finally got her. And she's been with us for I think 2.5, 3 years now, and she's absolutely amazing. And now she handles all of the hiring, training, firing, whatever it is, of the administrative staff. I don't touch that at all. She handles all of it.
Okay.
And so Teresa, our TC, has been with us for 3+ years. Alicia for she just started 6 months. Kim for 2.5 years. Our VA Hazel, I think, is on 3 years with us. Um, so people, yeah, our agents have been with us for, I want to say, on average, 4 years.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I asked that question because you've got good retention, 2, 3, 4 years. The average life expectancy for an agent on your team is two, I think 2.5. And
Mhm.
if you're at four, you're doing something right. So you said a little minute ago, like, well, I realized I had to build a world-class hub in order to really build a better team and have the value. And it sounds like that's what's working for you. Would you agree?
I would, and I'll give the story. I know Catherine doesn't mind if I share it. So Catherine on our team had her own team in our office, and she'd been building it, I think, 2 years behind me. And Catherine is amazing at building things. She would agree. Her strength is not building it, or her downfall is not building it. It's actually staying engaged in it. So once it's built, she would leave it alone and disappear and do all the sales. And 6 months later, she had to rebuild it again, and it would fall apart, and then she rebuild it again. And we talked for 5 years about her potentially joining the team, and one day she decided to do it. All she wants to do now is just take care of clients. doesn't want to have to worry about the payroll and administrative hires and all those kind of things. And to the point that she's actually got a lot of free time. She makes the choice that she can go to the beach, she can write, she can volunteer, and that fills her cup. And she makes really good money and has the time in her life because she's earned the right after 16, 17 years in the real estate that she's got a big enough database that it fuels her life. So
So how
it's
many years was
been,
she solo?
well, she had her own
Well,
business for
building her own
before she
team, but
joined
she
us.
before she came to your team, how many years was she there?
I want to say 15.
Okay. So she'd been running the business, building it, doing all the different things, 15 years, then rolled into your team and has been there for how long now? That's awesome. And she's doing really well and
She's
probably
doing really well, and she's very opinionated and gives us great feedback on how we're doing well and how we're doing poorly, and which is what I need. We're very honest with each other on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong.
that's good. Well, she cares.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. So, and we are. I'm not sure how deep you get into this conversation. We're podcast people, but there's dependent models and independent models. Like we're interdependent. I imagine you're kind of the same. Like we want you building your database building your business alongside mine
Yeah.
through building your database. We're not feeding you baby bird every little lead. There are some really big, strong businesses that do that. That's not what I want. And I didn't want a bunch of independent agents just scattered everywhere and they come and check in with us. We wanted a hybrid of the both, where they have their own business. Everyone's got their own LLCs, and we market them as part of us, and we do this together. We grow this thing together. It's been a really fun way to build it, and I am not the number one lead generator for them.
You said you're
All
not
things are, I'm not.
good.
I support them. I help them. I'm not all things to them.
So what does the support look like for your team now? So
So,
besides, in the early days, right? It was I'm just handing out leads. What's it look like now?
well, let me tell you like what we do then. So we're big into events for our business. So we do two main events each year that are the 350, 400 person events. And then we do a bunch of smaller VIP events. So our team runs that whole thing. So all the agents have to do is call their people and they show up to the event
And you
and
guys
it's
run
taken
the
care of.
big events and the VIP events. Your team puts it all together for them. Okay.
The whole thing. So that all they do, and that's all of our lead generation. Literally, our lead generation to our database is through our events. So we're constantly calling them. How are you? Can you come? Who do you want to bring? Those kind of things. That's literally the 90% of how our lead generation works. And so we handle all of that for them. So all we ask them to do is come in and lead generate several days a week and go on appointments. And we coach and mentor them around wealth building and other things like that. And that's all we focus
So
on.
you have two events a year. What those two big events? When are they?
October and May.
Okay. And then the VIP events. How many of those do you do?
Uh, we we we've been increasing. We're about to six right now.
And
I
about
think
how
five or
big is a
six.
VIP event?
But there'll be 150 people. So everyone's VIPs are have either referred you or helped bought and sold with you in the past 2 years.
And you'll do about six of those throughout the year. So you have eight total. So that's a lot. Okay. And you're calling then all the time, touching your database about the next event, or hey, sorry, you can't make this event, but the next event's next month or whatever it is. They've already got. And now you guys already have all those lined up and everything, right?
Yep. And we do group lead gen a couple times for each event. So we all get together and on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it is, and we come together and we start dialing for dollars together and inviting people to come to these events. And that's the main touch, if you will, around getting
So
our clients to
your
work with
your
us.
way that you work your database is all about events. You're just providing a fun activity or whatever it is, and that's the reason for calling them. At what point are they having conversations around real estate? Sometimes on those calls, sometimes at the event, maybe never. Just
Or they call us.
yeah.
They reach out. I mean, we're very big on automated systems around lead gen as well. So Jessica built out this whole platform for our events. So as the event's happening, our system our platform we use automatically texts or emails our clients, either on behalf of the agent or as the admin who's sending it out, one of the two. So there's extra communication pieces. We do market reports around person's house once every 2 weeks. They get an email that says, here's the value of your house, here's the sales. There's always reasons we're reaching out to them, just dropping information on them. And I get so many times I get a response back, hey, you got a minute to talk today? And I call them, there's like, we're ready to make a change. So it's just the constant. I think we have like an 86 touch plan for a year is what we're doing. And it's just gently reaching out to people on a consistent basis so that we are the first person they think of when they're ready to do something.
How many deals are you on track to close this year?
Somewhere between 130 and 140.
Okay. What did you guys do last year?
130. And the year before, 130. We're flat.
Incredibly, well, I was going to say incredibly consistent. So again,
Well, it is, but in the market, we're down 30%, and we stayed flat when the market dropped.
yeah, but I would say you're up then, right? If the market's down and you're still maintaining there, you're ahead of them. That's great.
I would
So the
agree.
events
I
are
would agree.
working, right? The model is
100%.
working. What's next for the company?
That is a great question. What's holding us back is finding the next one or two, three realtors that want the opportunity to do what we're doing. Um, One of the things I really enjoy about building the team is having redundancy in roles. And when you're small, when you're by yourself, you do everything, right, Dave? When you built your business from scratch, you were the buyer's agent, the listing agent, you were the operations person, you're the transaction coordinator, your listing manager, you did all hats, right? And so if you got sick one day, that job or all those jobs did not happen. Then you bring your administrative staff on and they start doing those things. But if they go on vacation or get sick, it doesn't happen. I want to get to the point where we've got two roles for every seat. So if some person is out for a life event or sick or whatever it might be, the other person can take over and you don't ever feel a slowdown. So I am building to get to that point where we have redundancy. So I have two TCs, two listing agents, those kind of things in place so that at the end of the day, the agent never, ever, ever feels, or the client never, ever feels like it's a slow week or it's off because someone's out. So that's where I want to get to. We have enough agents to fund that business at the end of the day.
Got it. And do you know how many more agents you need in order for that to happen?
Yeah, I need two. I need
Just
two
two.
stellar
Okay.
agents.
It is two.
That'll get us to 200 homes a year.
Okay.
And that would be the number that gets us where I can afford then and have the money to then hire the next two people.
Now, for your organization, are you bringing in typically new people and training them up, or ideally somebody who's been in the business, like the one you were referring to, who'd been in it for 15 years before they joined your team? Or
On the agent side, I prefer people who have been in the business. I want someone who understands how hard it is to do real estate well and the heavy lifting it takes when you're trying to grow your business as a solo agent. I want them to have felt that. We have brought new agents on. We realized if we came across someone who was stellar, I would want them to come on as a showing partner for an agent on our team. I'd want them building that team alongside my team. New agents is just for us. It's We're not there as far as our training program and having a PC program and those kind of things. I'd rather I'd rather have an agent who's okay. I've been doing this for 2 years. I'm selling 15 homes a year. I love what I do. I just can't grow it. And how can we get you to 30 to 40 homes, 45 homes a year, just doing what you're doing? And we'll take everything else off your plate.
so let's go down that path of recruiting while we're talking about it. You know, you talk to that person, they're doing 15 deals, you can get them to 30. You know, the first comment all the time is, well, yeah, I got to double my business and make the same amount of money.
Hmm. Correct.
How
But
do
what
you
does your life
handle that?
look like right now? What are you doing right now? Solo agent, what are you doing right now? Well, they're working 6 days a week, probably 6 nights a week, and they're doing everything. They're all things to all people. You come in with us, yes, we have to double your business to make the same amount of money roughly, but the amount of time you're working drops tremendously. It's not by 50%. You actually get a lot of hours back in your day because you're so well focused. The 80% of the stuff that was weighing you down and slowing you down, we take on, and you're focusing on the 20% of stuff that actually makes you money. So yes, you're selling twice as many homes, but you're not working twice as hard. And all of a sudden you start having nights available. You start having weekends available. We're good about teaching agents how to say no and telling their clients, here's my work schedule and here's what I'm available, and let's work this together. Because you notice when you did this, and I did this as well. I remember I worked 7 days a week for 6 months straight trying to get this thing off the ground. And I got to the point where I started telling clients, "Hey, listen, do you work weekends?" And they say no. And I said, "Do you like to work weekends?" And they said no. And I said, "Well, neither do I, but I know I have to. But to me, be an effective agent for you, I need to have some time off so I'm ready to go. So I don't work Saturdays. So I'll be your person Sunday through Friday. Now, if we have to write an offer, I will pop in on a Saturday all day long and write you an offer. Otherwise, I work 6 days a week. And I trained everyone to do that to the point I got a referral from someone and he says, "Hey, my name's John. I'm looking forward to working with you. And I know you don't work on Saturdays, and I'm okay with that." That was literally the first sentence he said to me.
How long did you
I was like,
start
okay.
that model and stop working Saturdays? Like right out of the gate, or at what point in your career?
No, my coach pushed me hard on that one. He was like, "When do you not want to work?" I said, "I don't want to work Saturdays, but I know that's not possible." And he says, "Of course it's possible." And so we practiced it, and eventually I started doing it. I want to say around, I think I started doing that around 2013,
And it's still the
2012,
case today.
2013. Yeah.
That's
Now
awesome.
I'm heavy, heavy, heavy. I mean, I've done no buyers this year. I'm all sellers. So as you know, my schedule is so much easier. I'm Monday through Friday, more or less.
Yeah, but you can still go on listing appointments on a Saturday. You just don't
You
schedule
can.
them on Saturday.
I do a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Have standards, right?
Having standards, and most people try to be all things to all people at the end of when they're, especially when they're building their business. So we really teach them how to do that.
You were talking about the agents and the time, and I was asking about that. How often are you sharing your agent? I think you said her name was Kathy, who was doing it on her own for 15 years and trying to build it and coming over. I feel like she would be a phenomenal testimonial for you as to how this works.
Yeah, in fact, she has. We've done videos on it. We recorded conversations about what her life is like and why she did it. I mean, she treats this as her team. This is her team. This is her business. She thinks of it that way, which is what I really love it when they do that. Um, yeah, she's got a good mindset for things, and she knows her lane. I will tell you, when she came on, I told her this. Like, it's going to be a shift from you going from owner to partner. And it took a while because she was driving us as if it was her last company. I was like, "No, we don't do it that way. We don't do this that way. We don't do that. This is how we do it. Just go out and do your thing. Come back. We'll take care of everything." And it took us a year to really get our rhythm together. And now it works great, but it
Good
takes
for
time.
you for staying the course on what you do, and good for her for staying the course and staying in it to get through that first year, right? I think there's so many people that would have either bent the rules and said, "Okay, well, I'm open to that. Okay, sure, we could consider that." And next thing you know, you're changing it to what she had, although she joined your team, you didn't join her team, and or the
Mhm.
other way around, where a few months in, they're like, this is terrible, I'm out," and then they quit. But you guys both saw that through together, and here you are 4 years later, and it sounds like it's working out great. That's huge.
It is. And I'll also tell you this, before we even gave her the offer letter, we interviewed each other 9 times. I was really clear with this. Like, if I'm going to ask you to disband your company, I want to make sure this is the best thing on the planet for you. So let's take our time. And some calls were 2 hours, and some calls were 30 minutes. And it was let's just talk about what you're doing, what you want it to look like, what's your life going to look like. And we just did this repetitively. I think this went over the course of 6, 8 months before we said yes to each other.
Also, another key piece to note there, right? You guys spent 6 to 8 months talking to each other, staying in relationship, communicating, going back and forth, and then agreed to join. Myself included, have all, some of us are always like, want to meet with somebody and then have them join that day, in the
Hmm.
first meeting, and you've met them for an hour and like, great, where do you want to sign? And then we're frustrated when they don't. And you spent 6 to 8 months, whatever it was, working through that and spending that time on that. And now you've got somebody there for at least, already 4 years, probably even longer. The time you spent up front, while significant and probably a long time, and you want to hurry up and get to the finish line, was well worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And all our administrative hires are minimum 5 interviews, all of them. We want them to know what we do. I want to make sure I know who they are. This the worst hires are usually it's I interview you once or twice, I bring you on, and then I realize I don't know you, and we're not in alignment with your values and my values, and we're not a good fit. Now I got to let you go. That's all on me. I mean, I feel very responsible for people when they join us. I want them to succeed. I want their family to improve, their lifestyle to improve because they joined us.
And it's tough when you then have to let them go. That's the worst part. Then you don't want to. Then you let it go on for too long, and it just turns into a mess. And yeah, you really just need to spend the time up front and then make the right hire, like you did. That's awesome.
I would
So,
agree.
okay, so we want to get to a couple more agents and get to that 200 mark. Anything else that you guys are looking to achieve moving forward? You
Yeah,
still doing any investing?
yeah. So I got back in again. We actually do syndications within our team.
Okay.
One of Catherine's clients actually got involved with a syndication group, and he came to us one day and said, "Hey, we're really good at running these things. Well, we need help finding the investors." And I was like, "Well, that's what we do. We find people." So we partnered up, and we literally go hunt for investors for this syndication group.
A
We've
little bit
done,
about that. I've invested in a couple of syndication deals here in St. Louis on some multifamily buildings. What are you guys putting together?
yeah.
Maybe we
So
can help
right
find
now
you some
we've done,
investors.
yeah, we've done three in North Carolina, two in Jacksonville, which is near Camp Lejeune, and we just our most recent one was in Durham. And I'm not the person hunting for the properties, although I am looking just in case I could find it. But they have someone else hunting, looking for mom and pop businesses that are undervalued, under rented, under maintained. And we take them over and improve them. And then the goal is to sell them in 5, 6 years for a 2x return. And my job and the agent's job on the team is to go find the investors that want to be part of these things. So I'm an investor for all three of them. I'm also part of the ownership group for all three of them. And I'm a big believer. I'm actually, my first syndication was actually with a different group out of Des Moines, Iowa. So I'm actually in 4 syndications. But I love it because it's like a triple net lease. It's set it and forget it and let it run. And the operations group for the syndication that handles all of the evictions and the improvements and all this stuff. They have a ton of work they have to do. I don't have to touch it. It's great. So a lot of our
Have you even
clients have
actually
gotten
seen them?
involved. Nope, not been any of them. No, but it's been a great reach out for our database as well. So we put on calls around the syndication. So I call all my people and say, "Hey, you're interested in a 20% IRR?" And they're like, "Hell yeah!" I said, "Get on this call and see if you want to do it." And the first question is, "Are you putting your money on this?" I'm like, "Yep, my money's going into." I'm like, "Okay, I feel better about it." So yeah, so that's one thing we do. And then we're starting to get into flipping. I know you do a ton of flipping, and I have not. I've been so focused on building this business. Seth has been building that part out, but I want to start doing some flipping as a team. I would love to be able to have all of us together put money into a pot and get a house and flip and really help everyone, including my administrative staff, start to build wealth through real estate. It's a little easier for agents because we have a higher income level than the administrative staff. So for them, how can I accelerate their wealth journey
I also
through?
think we're higher risk tolerance, being 100% commission and willing to throw money into something like that and be okay if it works or doesn't, you know?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. So that's an area we're trying to build out as well. That's a part of wealth for everybody we're
Love it.
focusing on. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful, man. You got a lot of good things going on. I appreciate you sharing your story with us today. Before we wrap, I always like to find out, what's the funniest thing that's happened to you in your career in real estate, and or maybe the weirdest thing. I don't know, either one. What story would you like to
I'm going
share?
to say weird slash scary. I remember I was showing a client a home. We have an area of town called Manchester. And during the recession, I called it Detroit because it lost 53% of its value during the Great Recession. And so I was showing a client an investment property over there. By the way, the area is fantastic now, but back then it was really hard struck. We go into this supposedly vacant property. It's dark. The lights are all off, no power there. I open the door, and a person from the inside starts walking towards me with a hood on. And I can't see a face or nothing. This place, I jump out of my skin, run out the door, slam it, get in the car. She and I take off. I've never been so scared in my life. The squatters had taken over the house, and I had no clue they were there.
So you
Yeah,
and your client both just ran out the door?
yeah. She was right behind me, and I pushed her. I said, "Go, go, 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 go." She was 100 pounds wet. I was like, "You get out of here."
When you got into the car, was the person coming out the door or had they
No,
just, no?
no, she was. I think the person was like, "Oh, there's someone here. Who's here?" I think it was what his or her. I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman. Couldn't see a face. Couldn't see a form. It was, it was really,
Did
really
you go back
spooky.
and show more houses in the same
No, no.
neighborhood at some point?
Oh, yeah, I did, but not that house.
Not that house, yeah.
Not that house. I was done for that
Your
one.
feedback to the agent is it looks like there's already a new buyer there.
Think you have found the person. Yeah, yeah.
Well, awesome, John. If people want to find you, they got a referral, they want to invest in your syndication opportunity or anything like that, how can people get hold of you?
John at thepaceofrichmond.com or thepaceofrichmond.com online, or you can find me on the socials. We're everywhere on there. And we'd love to talk with you and chat.
Perfect, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story with us today. And thanks for all the listeners out there following us. This has been another great episode of Realty Resilience. Thanks, John, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great time.
Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Realty Resilience. Be sure to join our free Realty Resilience Facebook group where real estate professionals connect, share strategies, and access resources. You can also follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insights. And remember, we release new episodes every 2 weeks. See you next time.